On this channel, we've devoted a lot of time and effort and energy towards the retiree. But what if you're within a few years of retirement? What are the important steps? What are the important things you need to be thinking about, the concerns, the decisions that need to be made? Today, we're going to have a really important conversation with a real couple, Mark and Diane Adams, as we explore what their journeys look like and the next steps they're taking so that they ensure success in retirement.
All right, grab your favorite mug. It's time for coffee with your retirement coach.
All right, you're in for a treat as we have this conversation with Mark and Diane Adams. And let me tell you something. I love them. You're going to love them. Today, let's go ahead and have that conversation. Mark and Diane, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here at Coffee with Your Retirement Coach.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. We appreciate the invitation.
Yeah. So guys, to kick us off, I have to go ahead and say, I love your story. You guys have a great story. You're approaching how many years of marriage? Mark, this is a test. Mark?
It's a test. Easy. We'll make 40 years come August.
40. I mean, come on. Talk about retirement success series. That's a marriage success series. You know, as we really do want to get into, some depth with you guys, why don't we go ahead and start? How did we meet and how do we find ourselves here today?
We met when I was a senior in high school. I was visiting a friend up at West Georgia, and that's where I first saw Mark.
Yeah, I was sitting around watching a football game on a Sunday afternoon with a bunch of my buddies in the dorm, and a group of girls walked in, and she wanted to talk to me, and I'll tell you, I looked nothing like this. I'd been out way too late the night before, probably big bags under my eyes. I'm sure I didn't shave, and she still wanted to talk to me, so we started a conversation, turned into a long-distance romance, and now an almost 40-year marriage.
Man,
we started writing letters.
Oh, stamps and mail.
Yes.
Oh, man, stamps.
Snail mail.
Yeah, we're going back that far.
Yes, exactly.
We talked on the phone about once a week when I was in college because there was a dorm phone in the hallway, a payphone. And, I didn't have any money, so it was a collect call sometimes at best.
Man, I love that. I love that. Now, let's fast forward. Now there's generations of the Adams.
Yes.
What does our family look like today?
2 kids, both married. Son is Michael, who's 35, married to Anna, and they've been married almost 10 years. And Sydney and Rob have been married 6. And they gave us our first granddaughter, Blake. She is just 18 months old and, just the light of my day.
Oh, I can tell every time we talk, you've canceled plans on me 3
heck
times
yeah.
for that grandbaby.
Let me tell you something. That girl comes first.
Yeah.
and I'm wrapped around a finger that's about that big.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Are we granddad, grandpa? What are we?
Actually, Papa.
Papa.
Is what we settled on. It was quite the controversy that I didn't have a grandfather name for a while, but we settled on Papa and
right. And I'm Yaya.
Oh, yeah.
And because of a friend of mine said, anytime you want to do something, Diane's always a yes. So
became Yaya.
Yeah,
so fitting. So fitting.
I love it.
I love it. Well, guys, we are talking about retirement and retirement success today, but I'd be remiss if we didn't start with a fun question. I love where this can go. What is your first money memory?
Together
Yes.
was when we first got married. We lived in an apartment in Marietta. And I remember our rent being like $800 a month. And my mother was in real estate, and she said, real estate, interest rates are low. Why don't we go out and look for a house? Well, I mean, we had just gotten married. And
6 months in.
Yeah. We were like, oh my gosh. So just having that first big purchase, it was like $84,000.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have that much money. Like, how do you navigate that? Well, thank God we had my mother and father and his parents to talk things through and understand how to navigate that big. It was a scary purchase, especially since we were just married, trying to learn to live together.
Yeah.
Where do your shoes go, Mark?
Go in the closet.
I mean, those were that was our
Big
first
question.
fight. And so, we didn't that was like a big giant roadblock in our marriage right at the beginning, because we both grew up different, looking and treating money differently.
And let's explore this for a second, because I think it's interesting. You bring up both of your parents. What kind of impact did your parents have on your framing or your view of money?
Okay, that's a great question. And I'll frame it in the story of the house. My parents at 84,000 thought we were buying way too much house for our income, way more house than we needed, buying it way too quick in our marriage. And they thought we should continue to rent for a while longer until we kind of got ourselves more established and then go find a house, more of the traditional, typical path of a married couple. With her mom being in real estate, she recognized the rates were low, the time to buy was now. And ironically, we found a house that the note for the house was almost the same as the rent we were paying on this little 1-bedroom apartment. So the decision, looking back, it made perfect sense. But at the time, it was, we had my parents saying, okay, pump the brakes. Her parents saying this is the time to act. And then my parents realized, okay, if the bank would consider me a qualified borrower, then they should understand that and realize that we would be able to pay for the house.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I love that you guys probably had a little wrestling match with kind of the conservative nature over here, and then the, oh no, we got to act. I mean, and as newlyweds.
Exactly. I know.
And 40 years later.
And here we are. Yeah, but it all worked out. I mean, the house was great. It was a great place. Both our kids were born, came home to that house. It was a great little place, and we loved it. We really did.
Yeah. And you guys have been in the Marietta area for a long time. I mean, a long time. And as a matter of fact, you've had some family business history in Marietta.
Yes. My grandfather owned Manley and Adams Auto Parts. He started as a little overnight 24-hour-a-day gas station on 41, and eventually became an automotive parts warehouse on Fairground Street. And I worked for him from the time I was 11 or 12 until he sold the store in 2000. But I've been here all my life.
I got to ask an old person question. You ready? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. What was your starting hourly rate?
You'll love this. I was 11, and my starting rate was $1 an hour, worked in the summer. So I was an 11-year-old kid with $25 in my pocket every Friday. I was king of the world, let me tell you.
Yeah, that $25 would go a ways, right?
Go away,
you could stretch it.
Oh, yeah, but still.
With our clientele, most of our clients are Christians, right? They have faith. And there are a lot of people in this world that try to separate money and their faith. And I think that's absolutely wrong. I think faith and your finances, they come together, really. So could you talk to our audience today about how you guys have bridged that gap with your faith and your finances?
We're both on the same page where it comes to, it's not us, it's not our money, it is his. And how are we going to be good stewards of what he has given us and still walk out our calling? Different seasons of our life, it does look different because, kids could be in sports, college, but tithing to the church has always been, you can't outgive God.
Yeah. Maybe could you talk to our audience a little bit about maybe an area where you felt like God stretched you in your finances?
For me, when I started going on mission trips and having to ask people for money, that has always been a very uncomfortable place for me. And yet the mindset of really, it's an honor for others to support me as I'm going on a mission trip.
Yeah.
And but I didn't approach it that way. It was always, we can pay for it. I'm not going if I can't pay for it. Instead of, wait a minute, this is a partnership.
Yeah. It reminds me of a saying my dad has. I've heard him say this forever and ever and ever. He says, you got to understand that you're a funnel, not a bucket. And as God gets money to you, it's really to get it through you.
Right.
And it is tying me to a blessing. Right? Because we're blessed to be a blessing. But so many times you're 100% right. That mindset gets to us.
Right.
Where it's like, man, it is uncomfortable, but God sometimes wants us to be uncomfortable. Right.
And asking people for money is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sure. Especially when you're asking them to go on to pay for your mission trip.
Right.
I was thinking about your question, and I thought back to the time that I led a youth group at church and where God stretched me, and our finances really wasn't so much finances at the forefront, but it was my stuff. Every Sunday night, I invited the boys in my small group to come to the house, and we'd play ping pong, we would play cornhole, we would play pool and things and hang out. And then we'd always have a small group discussion with them. So we were turning our house over to a bunch of high school kids. And the blessing behind that was that they're still with me. They still hang out. They still stay in touch with me. We still keep in contact. And I've actually had the honor of officiating one of them's wedding, which was really pretty stinking cool.
How cool.
Yeah, had the best seat in the house. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and I think that's really important because as we think about imparting into the next generation, you guys have done a great job. I mean, you've mentored other married couples. I mean, you guys were mentored, but you've turned around and you've done the same thing for others. And pouring into that next generation is important. So before we delve into the next, what the next 3 to 5 years might look like for the Adams family, if you were to give yourself advice, going back just 25, 30 years ago, what's a piece of advice you would give yourself kind of reflecting back?
Well, I would say that sometimes when you're reflecting back, you will look at maybe being more critical about things that I did and didn't do. I believe that he had us in those seasons for a reason. I probably needed to know more why they were in those seasons. And if the advice I would say is, I wish I had kind of lightened up on myself to, have it where it had to be this way and that way. And
I'd look back and say, I would like to give myself the advice of being more content with where I was, but with an eye on setting money aside, saving and preparing for whatever God has next for me in that next stage of life. Because while I'm living in this one, you're all wrapped up in what's going on, the kids in sports, the job, all the things. And it's easy to lose sight of what God's preparing you for at that time to learn in the next season of your life. And he's providing the finances for that next stage as you're in this stage. And I wished I would have been more alert to his provision for the next stage, next season.
Transitioning into that next one. I would rush us to that next stage. You just like, oh my gosh, well, they're in middle school. This is what needs to happen. They're in high school. They're gone. We're empty nesters. Now what?
Yeah, well, and I know Suzette and I are on the cusp of that world right now. Yeah. That's a weird kind of transitional phase to be in. Yes. I mean, just looking at, I've got one out who's in college right now, but looking at the cost savings of all the activities, piano lessons, all the stuff. Things, I mean, your world changes quite a bit in that awareness as you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's a real thing.
It is.
Right.
Really
and them becoming adults. And then when there was another shift when they got married. There's like things happen in your mind, body, and house that happen. When
well, and I already know that the love of your life right now is that beautiful grandbaby.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Grandbabies are the best.
I got to tell you, I may have said this on this show before, but, my dad has reminded me often that if he knew how great grandkids were, he would have skipped me altogether.
Oh, it's so great.
We've heard that before, too.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There's a certain order.
Yeah.
I know.
Mark and Diane, this is really, really critical to me. It's not a pure financial question, but it is, okay? And it's more so a mindset question. The most successful retirees that we work with, here's what they do. They have identified that they are not retiring from something, they're retiring to something. Okay. And a lot of people glaze over that. They miss the importance of that. But if we really believe that God has our best days ahead of us,
yes,
it can't be a mindset purely of getting away from something versus I've got this next adventure. I've got this next journey. I've got this next thing that I'm retiring to. So my question is, for Mark and Diane, what are we retiring to? When are we retiring to this thing, and what are we retiring to?
When are we retiring? I get that question often, the gray hair. People ask, well, so when are you going to retire? Have you already retired? And the answer is no. And I'm not mentally ready to leave my career yet, but I'm looking forward to the next stage of what God has planned for me. And I know it's not going to be just sitting around the house watching TV and cutting the grass and planting a garden somewhere. I mean, all those are great things, but that's not what I see him having for me in the future.
Yeah.
I'm just not exactly sure what it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to that next stage.
Yeah.
We've seen people, to your point, retire without having given any thought to what they're going to do next. We've got friends that retired and they woke up the day after they retired and thought, I've been doing the same thing for 35 years. So what do I do now? I've walked the dog. I've read the paper. I've watched the morning news. Now what do I do?
And where it was probably more of their identity was rooted in what they were doing
100%.
than really, where does the Lord have us?
Yeah. Well, and I think that is important, the mental aspect of this, because we have to, get our minds around, a lot of us, we do have our ego wrapped up, and a lot of us have our relationship life, our friendship life. So much of us is tied to whatever our career was that there's a sense of loss almost when a lot of people retire, that they start aging faster. The importance of this is the framing around what are we retiring to? What's our goals, our dreams, our passions? Because retirement isn't stopping work. And I think that's where a lot of people have missed the boat on this. It's not retiring like from work. It is retiring from things that are keeping you from your calling, your purpose, your passion, the adventure, the next thing, the one thing that God's put on your heart to go do the thing and live the life. And I think it's really important that people capture retirement doesn't mean stop.
It does not. As you look at your life over the whole span, in the beginning, there are things you have to do. I mean, you have to get a job, you have to work, you have to pay the bills, you got to buy groceries, all those things. And as you get through the things that you have to do, you get into the things you should do, which is, again, save for retirement, plan ahead, look to the future. And then at some point, you wind up getting to the stage of life where there's the things you could do. And if you're in the should do stage, looking at the what you could do stage, that's where the real excitement happens. There's so many things out there that we could do. We could travel, we could go hang out with the kids.
Love it.
All those things, we could spend a bunch of time together, time with our friends. Those are all great things. But if we're not looking at them when we're in that should do stage, we don't get to do them in the stage where it's the could do stage.
I love that framing. By the way, I'm pretty sure that's going to end up as a short online somewhere because that was awesome. And I think it is the framing of that picture. I think a lot of people in our audience, they're going to be able to identify with that.
Well, it's Rob McDowell.
Yeah, that was.
Remember the financial piece when he got up there saying,
when
I
Rob,
was handcuffed when I
when
I came into this church.
Yeah. I mean, debt will handcuff you.
It will.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So shout out to Pastor Rob. Hope you're tuning in.
Yes, absolutely. I stole that straight up from him. And
Right.
He said it and it just resonated and obviously stuck with me for a long time.
Right.
It was very impactful. We were mentoring a couple who was engaged to be married, and we talked about a slew of things. And one of the things we talked about was finances. And we're talking about budgeting and things, and we got a girl and a guy. And I asked the girl, the discussion led me to the question, well, how much do you think you could spend at a time in a week without having to ask your husband about it? What's the limit on what you think you could spend? And I think she said something like $10,000.
Okay.
Because she was in the market for buying furniture. She said, well, I think I could spend $10,000.
I said, you don't need to ask that. You don't need to. It's not ask permission, but like have a discussion about how much we're saying. Anyway.
And I said, well, I said, so what you're telling me is over the course of a month, you could spend $40,000. And he didn't know a thing about that. And her eyes kind of got big. It's like, oh, oof.
Yeah.
Little realization.
Yes. You're going to learn your money management from your parents. You will. I mean, that's what it is. And unless somebody opens up your eyes to something else, or you have, somebody like you, that we sit across the table on, you tend to just do what you've always just done because you're not going to expand your world because somebody else, nobody's asking you those questions.
Yeah.
That's why coming to you, you ask the questions that need to be asked in the stages of life that we're in that we didn't know we needed to be asked. And so I go back to trusted source. Anyway, it's so different, but they were about to get married.
She was okay, and she was. I forget what he did, but she was a teacher.
Yeah, and I was sitting there going, okay, like, what are we supposed to do with this? I remember walking out. Mark's like, man, like, I don't tell you anymore when I'm gonna buy running shoes or something. He's like, but can you imagine me just coming home with
a car,
without consulting you? And I'm like, I mean, I think you have done that, but you said, I'm going to buy a car. Do you want to come? I'm like, I don't want to go. And you come home with a car.
Yeah, but it was,
right.
But you set the expectation for it, right?
But there was communication instead of coming in. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, like, we need to talk about this because what did you see played out? Yeah, mom and dad they did their own thing.
I've got 2 clients that it's so funny. Shout out to you if you're listening because they know each other, okay?
Yeah.
And one of them, he had a thing where every year, like it just like clicked in his head, he's going to get a new set of golf clubs, which are not cheap.
No, they're not.
Every single year. Now he's playing like 80 to 100 rounds easily a year, so he's playing.
Okay.
But he just starts doing this, and his wife says, hey, look, I just started looking at the spreadsheet. Do you know how much you're spending towards golf? Well, he didn't have it broken down by category. She thought he was just playing all these courses that was costing, $2,000 for these, golf clubs. Well, they had to come to an agreement that if he could show with the financial planner at the time that he was working with that he could afford a new round or a new set of golf clubs every single year, she'd be okay with it. But he couldn't buy another set of clubs until he ran it by the financial planner, right? And the financial planner, I don't know if he slipped him a $20 bill or what, but he approved it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that communication's important.
Right.
And that's 100%. A little better than his pal. I'll call him Barney. Barney decided every year, now he was a car enthusiast. He had no other vices, no other habits. He lived extremely frugal. I mean, he could make a penny cry, okay? He decided a once-a-year car purchase was in his best interest. Here's the challenge. Did he have the money? Barney did very well. He had the money. Did he have the ability to afford everything, maintenance and other things? Because he was into classic cars. He wasn't buying a brand new car. He was into those types of rides, right?
Got one of those.
Absolutely. So it wasn't an economic problem. It was a communication problem because he started showing up and his wife thought maybe it's a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But after about year 3, 4, and 5, she realized this might be a problem.
Very well could be. Very well could be.
Like, there is a line. Everyone has
communication's key.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the root. It's the foundation of everything.
Yeah. You know what his wife's question was every time he came home with a new car?
What'd you buy me?
No. She said, "Do we still have 2 commas?"
Oh, that's funny.
So did their net worth drop?
Well, I do have to ask. Did he get rid of one to get another one, or did he just keep?
No, he said 3, 4, and 5. Like, I think
So
there
he-
was collecting.
Well, that was 3, 4, 5 years. So he's
No.
collecting.
So they had to establish a rule because in the 3rd year he was going to go buy a 3rd car, and they had to. She's like, "What are you going to do? Get a warehouse?" So 1 in, 1 out after year 3.
Okay.
I get it. Okay.
I think Mark's trying for some negotiation.
Oh, is
there.
it?
No.
Well, you've got a nice ride.
Yeah,
Right?
you
but-
do.
So, Mark and Diane, like when people come to us, it's normally because there's some type of pain point or there's some kind of opportunity. But most people come to us because they're concerned they're paying too much in the way of taxes, right? And that's a pain point for people who are pre-retirement and in retirement. I mean, when clients start hitting required minimum distribution age and you're forced to take distributions from 401ks, that's forced taxation and it hurts a lot of people, right? Then there's a second thing, which is the estate planning aspect. So they're coming to us because they've been a part of a family instance where maybe the estate plan blew up. They were tied up into probate for years. It cost thousands and thousands of dollars and they don't want to leave a mess for their spouse or their children.
Right.
And then there's that third piece, which is the retirement income standpoint. When you do leave the workforce, where does income come from? And how do you establish, like, we can spend this much and we'll never run out of money, and we feel really confident in that? And those are three of the big things that people are generally coming to us. Does any of that resonate with you guys?
I think all three of them,
Oh, absolutely.
you hit all three. And that's why we did come to you. I remember when Mark came home saying, hey, I met Nick Yeomans. He's an elder at our church, and had a great conversation with him. And it's somewhere where his parents were already going to Yeomans and with your dad. And he goes, I want to go have a face-to-face meeting. And I was like, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
And so since then, I feel like what y'all have done is guide us through some of these transitions for us, asking the questions of, things that we knew we needed to be asking, but some we didn't know that we needed to be asking with, bank acquisitions and taxes, and who do we use in it. You've become a trusted source for us. And then when we needed a CPA, you were the first one. You were the first call. And that's what we've really enjoyed about the whole family unit that y'all bring to the table is just, you've got everything. When we needed to talk about the kids and the will and the trust, you put us in touch with the right people, and you gave us some things to think about when we wanted to set them up, what the structure was going to look like, and we were able to just really go in going, okay, this is the next step, and it felt right.
Yeah. No, I think that's really good feedback, because, I broke this down as 1, 2, and 3, but the reality is everything affects everything else.
Right.
Sure.
How we put together our tax strategy, it could be impacted by our estate plan and how we design that, or how we take income from our various sources, 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. You really do have to think about all three, but normally people put them in their own unique little silo. And I tell you, one of the most common things I see is people are overpaying their taxes. They just didn't know any different.
Right.
Right. And like she said, it's all three. And I agree with everything she said. But one of the things I'd like to add to that is the stress on, if something happened to one of us, the other one is left with the anguish of what happened to the other, and the stress of all the other things, and by y'all guiding us through the creation of a trust, really it goes a long way to eliminating the stress of that piece. If something happened to both of us at the same time, then it falls to the kids. Well, then they've got that same level of stress of dealing with everything, and to have the trust just spelling out exactly what happens next, it takes all those decisions off their plate and makes their life a whole lot less stressful as they're dealing with whatever grief may come from whatever may happen to one of us or both of us. Yeah. And that was huge.
Yeah. I got to tell you, in this studio right now, you are my favorite clients. This is, trust has to be earned.
Yep.
And we don't do like numbers, like your number 571.
No.
This is a relationship, and it's a trusted relationship. And the thing I love about the Adams family is how coachable you guys are. It's that you can take information. You're already knowledgeable. You came to us already with great amount of knowledge with personal finance and investing, but you've continued to be a student, and you've continued to grow. And I've got a saying, you've raised your gaze. And I got to tell you, from a professional perspective, it's such a joy to see a client grow in their knowledge and their understanding, because it increases their trust. So when bad things do happen, the loss of a loved one, an incapacity, a bad market event, the economy sinks, whatever it is, you just have so much more confidence. And I see that in you guys, and I love that about you.
Thank you for the compliment. We did come to our relationship with you as a business relationship with some knowledge about finances, business, investing, those sorts of things. But you play in a different ballpark than we play in. There are things that we don't profess to know. There's things that we realize it would take all our time just to learn some of the stuff that you know. And we trust you, we trust your company, and we trust the advice that you give us because of our relationship over the years. So I don't have to know these things about the tax law and the liabilities and all the different investment rules and things. You know them, you tell them to us, and we're able to play ball in your park because you're the coach.
Well, I've got A players. So,
Yeah. There you go.
yeah. So when you were looking for a financial firm, as many people, that have been successful and had success as you have had, they are, typically looking for certain either qualities, characteristics, or certain offerings that a firm provides. What was really important to you as you were looking for that right fit for you and your family?
It had to be.
Shared values, shared faith. Yes, both of those. And that's where it started. We were looking for somebody who was a Christian, who was strong in their faith and led with their faith and wasn't embarrassed about talking about their faith in meetings with us as we discussed our finances.
Right.
And y'all fit that bill perfectly.
You know what I love about you guys? I know that God loves a cheerful giver. And so many of our conversations are centered around giving and making an impact for the kingdom. And that is absolutely one of my favorite things about working with you.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well, we never would have known about the
Donor advice.
advice fund had you not told us about it. I'm like, how does everybody not know about that?
we're telling
And,
everybody now.
that was big. It was a shift. It was good knowledge
Yeah.
that we were able to tell our kids about. I was like, do y'all know this even existed?
We had no clue.
Yeah. And it's so cool to learn about these things, right? And be able to apply them and see the impact firsthand.
Sure.
Yeah. And now you can be an evangelist about the donor
Yeah,
advice
there-
fund.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
I love it.
it was such a great tool. It worked. It's worked so well for us.
Yes. And your staff. Every time we walk in there, to me, it matters that somebody's sitting at that desk. There is always somebody very kind that is greeting us, that is making, come into our home, sit, let us talk. It's like, there might be a table separating us, but we feel very safe and just like you care about the Adams family, which we know you do, but that shows in everybody there.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And I got to tell you, so this will be my 25th year. Okay.
Really?
And we have never had such a strong and unbelievable team as we have right now. We have amazing people on our staff. So thank you for saying that.
I
really
love
got
that.
some great
Allie
folks.
does a great job. She's just so sweet.
Allie does. Yeah.
I'm just
I really do like most everybody. I'd like to pivot and, many people in our audience, they are wrestling right now and thinking about, am I ready? Do I delay another 5 years? Do I delay another 3 years? Or am I ready mentally, economically to pull that trigger to maybe step aside from either work or from whatever I'm currently doing for the next step? What's your advice to those people who are finding themselves there right now?
Make a decision that is led by information, but formed by the Holy Spirit. Gather the facts, talk to you about the retirement income spend, how much they have, how much we have, how long do you think it will last, all those things. And those are good numbers to have. But listen to the Holy Spirit. Ask him to let you know when it's time to move to that next stage. Because like you said, you're leaving a career that you've had for a while potentially, but you're retiring to something else. Well, what's he leading you to? Listen to him.
Man, that's great advice.
Thank you.
Wisdom and discernment mixed all together.
Yeah, well.
Now, what would you say, Diane?
I would really say the same thing.
Yeah. It was such a good answer. I want to go ahead and say it, and don't be offended. That was a Miss America answer right there. That was a great answer.
I think it took us a long time to get where we are now. But now just, trust looks different. And I was telling Martin today when we were talking about it, a lot of times you don't make shifts unless there's a crisis going on. And we've seen that played out in many different situations in many different lives. And we've always, I'm like, first of all, I don't want to do that to our kids. And I don't want to do that to us. Like,
Right.
we don't have to over plan things, but, it's like there's just some things that you're supposed to do just for life, because that's what you're called to do, is not to be chaotic when I'm gone. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you're screwed. All the passwords are, in here. It's like that's not it. And we last year made a shift with a doctor, and that most of the time it didn't matter. I just went once a year. You did your physical. There was no crisis,
No interaction.
Everything's fine. And now that I'm in my 60s, I'm like, okay, you need a relationship with you need somebody that's going to help quarterback you, that you're going to have a trusted source that you can go to ask opinions, and not just AI. And so, like, the first thing when we met with a doctor last year, I was like, tell me about your walk with the Lord. Like, I knew she was a believer going in there. I said, but tell me about your walk with the Lord. And I said, because this is like right now, I'm just in a stage of life that it's not all downhill from here, but I want to build a relationship that really matters on a foundation that I know matters.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
that's good.
so that was like, and she's like, well, all right. And then Mark met with her. And then this year, she just sat there and she listens. And like, I printed all this stuff out from AI, and I was like, I want these tests run. Not that I think anything's wrong, and she's looking at me, she's going, well, all right. Would you like me to like weigh in on some of this? And I said, yes. And she gave me this perfect analogy. And I said, all right, well, what do you think we should run? And so we ran these other tests, and I was like, I walked out of there going, she's my, like I felt so good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
You felt heard?
I heard, seen, whatever word you want to put on that. But I was like walking out going, she didn't go, oh, there's AI. I'm so tired of people putting things in AI. And I'm like, I'm not going to get my medical advice but AI is a wonderful tool.
Sure.
But,
Yeah. And it's only getting better too.
right,
I mean, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I was sitting there and I was like going, okay, well, I've got to have, until there's a crisis, and, God help me that there's never a crisis, but going on the future, there's some things I need to know now
Yeah.
that I'm in
Well,
my
and
60s.
one, I love that you're being your own advocate.
Yes.
Right? Because we
Yeah.
have to be.
Right.
We have to advocate for ourselves, and you have to be your own doctor in many instances,
yes.
right? And if no one, and no one's going to take care of you like you're going to take care of you. But I love how forward-looking you were, even saying, I've got to establish the right relationship now for where my health journey might lead in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm inspired, by the way,
Well-
and I'm taking notes. And for our audience, that was gold.
I
that was
mean,
gold.
It was important. And, I did my research before. Of course, what do? You call your trusted friends that know you. And I'm like, all right, somebody's going to need to handle me. Like, give me your good and bad and ugly about. So I did my homework before that. But when we landed on her and then meeting her, I was like, yeah, this is
You're my people.
yeah,
This is good.
you're good.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I'll say it's the same way with a financial planner, because I want to make sure that you and I are on the same page with what our future looks like and what we want our future to look like. You're not shoving us into some cookie cutter that says, well, you're going
Right.
to need $50 million to retire on in the next 6 years, or you'll be starving by the time you're 90. And you're trying to put us into some box. No, you've listened to what we've said. We've come to you with our hopes and our dreams and our desires. And you said, okay, well, I can help facilitate some of this. Here's some tools to use. Here's some things we could try. Here's some things we can do to provide for the best possible outcome for us for the future, to be able to do the things that we're looking to do in this next season of our life.
right.
Yeah.
And it'd be difficult to do that with somebody whose beliefs and faith didn't line up with ours.
Right. Or somebody we didn't trust.
Well, true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that goes-
There's this, layer.
Yeah. Well, and, some people don't know how to identify people or how to even approach. How do I have those conversations? And, if you are a member of our audience today, if it's the right person, you're going to know when you just start the conversation, when you just start asking the questions, and never be afraid to ask the questions that matter to you. You might feel silly asking them, but let me tell you something. If it matters to you, you get your answers. And if you don't feel like you're getting them, then pivot. Find the next person. There's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion on that resource that's so important. Most of you who are listening today, you're not going to get a second chance. You're not going to get a do-over. Whatever you have is what you have, and it's important to you. So make sure that you seek out wise counsel and get that trusted advisor in your corner. And sometimes the best way to know is by asking the questions that matter most to you.
That's true.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
That's good.
So, Mark and Diane, this has been a great conversation so far. I know I've really enjoyed it. I think our audience has enjoyed it. I mean, they're going to love you guys, okay? I love you guys. But here's my question. As we wind this episode down, do you have any lasting thoughts or comments for our audience that you think if they got one thing out of today's conversation, please land on this?
I'd say plan ahead. I would say if you're making a decision in a crisis, you're going to make the best decision out of a bunch of poor choices. If you look to what's going to probably eventually happen, we're going to get older. I mean, we're headed.
She won't. But you will.
She had an age there, yeah. But we're getting older, and our lives will change, and our needs will change as we get older. And if we're not planning for those changed needs now, then somebody else is left to plan for them, somebody is left to react to them when they happen, as opposed to something being laid out ahead of time. And again, we're trying hard not to leave a mess for our kids. We don't want them to be burdened by having to undo a bunch of stuff we did or didn't do that we should have done over the years.
I love that. And what I heard there, Mark, is be proactive, but also be a good steward, right?
Yes.
Like, the Bible, talks about leave, a good man leaves an inheritance for their children and children's children. He didn't say leave a mess for them.
Right.
Or a time bomb.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have absolutely exemplified that.
Yes. Well, thank you. I mean, like I said, we want to finish well.
Yeah.
We want to leave a legacy that's easy for our kids to step into and move forward with their lives and our little granddaughter's life.
Yes. But finding a trusted source that will listen to you, that has your same values, and, that, is going to help you live well, succeed well, and not be chaotic.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Mark and Diane, thank you so much for the time today. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Like we said earlier, we certainly appreciate the invitation. Glad to do this and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
Awesome. I hope you've had as much fun listening in on the conversation as I just had having the conversation. Mark and Diane Adams are amazing people. And let me tell you something, they're proactive, they are caring, and they are thinking forward as they're aging and they're moving into that next chapter. Are you considering that next chapter in your life? Are you wondering, what are those right questions I should be asking? Having the right questions is so important. If you want to have a conversation with us, explore what those questions should be as you think about the next 2, 3, or 4 years of your life as you get ready for retirement. Reach out to us. Our information's in the show notes below. We'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Until next time, thanks for being here, and thanks for staying coachable.
We hope you enjoyed today's show, but you may have questions for our coaches, and they can be emailed at connect@meritfa.com. If you know someone that needs to hear this episode, we encourage you to share it. As a reminder, the content of this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as advice. Investment advice offered through Merit Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor.